Hey YouTube world, coming into my favourite time of year. We are officially here in central Pennsylvania. We are officially in the autumn season, and I'm very excited. This is the time of year that I come alive. I start running around the house frantically, getting stuff ready. I've already started stockpiling my kerosene for the winter, for my antique kerosene heaters and my oil lamps. But today I am preparing the oil lamps ready for the season. I love oil lamps. I've done a couple of videos before on oil lamps, and I love them. I have one in the bathroom and one in the bedroom, and one in the bathroom because it's sort of the coldest, most damp or moist room in the house, and especially in wintertime it warms it up a little bit and just keeps it nice and dry so you don't get mildew on the ceiling. Bedroom, just a bit of soft light. You can go in there, get changed, do what you need to do, and there's certainly enough light for that. Also, you'd be surprised how much heat comes off these little fellas. It really helps, keep the bathroom warm and warms the bedroom up. And I find the furnace doesn't kick on. I've got separate zones for the bedrooms, and the furnace doesn't kick on. So that's a good cost saving as well. But look, great, also great for the preppers or emergencies if the power goes out, things like that. But anyway, today is about getting them ready. What is it? Sunday, September 23rd. Yeah, not quite October yet, but about another week of September left. But we've had a significant cool down a couple of days ago, so it's definitely nice and cool today, and getting even cooler in the evening. So time to get these fellas ready. Got a couple here. I can't even remember where I got this guy from. It's not a expensive or special burner at all. It's not one of the cheap and nasty ones. This is one of the cheap and nasty ones. This is a Walmart special. I think it was only $6. But this one I don't use too much. I just keep for a spare or emergencies or something like that. Yeah, this one's not bad. This one's probably my favourite. This is, hang on, is it a Queen Anne burner or is it a... Yeah, it is, a Queen Anne. And these work really good. These are quite old now. It's sort of an old antique. But if you can get one in good condition, they burn really, really nicely. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim the wicks. And I've got a very special tool, a 1-inch wood chisel. I bought this new, and the only job that this chisel has is to trim wicks. It has not been used for anything else. Now, I like to cut the wicks straight across. I've seen some people that trim them up to a point. No, don't do that. You want a straight across flat. We'll use this piece of timber. That's what you want your wick to look like. Oh, we'll go this end. You want it straight across. You get a nice wide flame, so you get more light and more heat. You put a rounded tip or a point on your wick, and you will get soot from there at a, you won't be able to have it up very high without soot forming and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, let me get set up, and I'll wind these wicks up and get ready to do some trimming and show you what I do. Alright, so there's wick, or burner number 1. That's the Queen Anne. And as you can see, if you look at the top of that wick, it's pretty carboned up and pretty junky. Now you can just break that off. Alright. But at the, you can see there, it's all sort of just crusty. It'll come off. But then you end up with an uneven surface. So at the beginning of the season, I wind these guys pretty much, I'll show you the bottom end, pretty much all the way. That's about it. So I've got all the wick sitting out at the top. I'll do this sideways so you can see it. Normally, I have it facing up. But there's like some, what do you want to call it, the stitching on the wicks, right? You'll see at intervals, you'll see little lines. So all I do is, I get it lined up. I forgot to put my glasses on before I did this video, but anyway, I go nice and square. As you can see, the wick is 7/8 of an inch wide, so this is almost perfect. And I try and go square across, and I just hit the top of the chisel with my hand quite gently. That was more force than what was needed. And there we go. Perfect. Perfect straight across, nice and neat. Okay, so that's how you cut them. Okay, so that's the wick trimmed. I do this with a brand new wick as well. All right. Now this one is fairly dry. As you can see, a little bit of oil residue there, so it is still slightly moist. But what I'm going to do is just put a tiny little bit of kerosene. Now this is the good, expensive K1 kerosene. Now that's just a few drops in there, because what I want to do is just very lightly just dip the tip of the wick. Oh, okay, well that soaked up into the lid. Probably a bit much, but just quick dip. And now what I want to do is it's a bit too much, but try and set that a little bit. Usually when you do this and you burn it for the first time, you're going to get a little bit of a smell. Alright, I just lit that to burn some of the excess off because I put too much on. But what I'm going to do now is light it and wind it down really low until it's just, let me turn it this way so you can see it, just burning. Maybe even a little lower than that. Okay, so it's just burning, and I'm going to burn off the remainder of that kerosene, and that kind of just, I don't want to use the word seasons it, but sets it a little bit. So I'm just going to sit that off to the side and keep an eye on it while I trim the next one. And that'll just burn out. Next one's going to be a bit more challenging because it's quite wet. There was still some kerosene left in it, but again, wind it all the way up. Almost as high as it'll go. We do this one this way. It helps me if I can look at it more square on. Set that down. You don't even need to smack it. Probably just a little tap. Done. Nice, neat, clean, straight cut. I'll wind this guy back down and I will light him too, and just let it burn off a little. I apologise that I don't always get everything in the camera. I'm just sitting this one off to the side. It's not always easy trying to keep an eye on what you're doing and get the shot at the same time. So yeah, this one, as you can see, this one is hasn't been used since it was trimmed, but I didn't get it quite straight, so I am going to trim it again anyway. And I'm going to use this one to show you something else. It's not exactly square. It's a different kind of wick, and I don't have the lines across to keep it straight, but it's a little crooked or cattywampus, whatever you want to say. But anyway, so that's that guy trimmed too. What I'm going to show you with this one is, if you imagine, I might have to adjust the camera here, give me a second. Okay, now I've got my K1 kerosene. Actually, let me show you that real quick if I can get it in the shot. I picked this up today at Walmart. Normally I buy the Clean Heat brand, but it's just under $11, like $10.98, $10.94, something like that for 1 gallon. This was a little bit cheaper in the camping section of Walmart. It was $8.70 something, so grabbed this instead. But I do use the 1K, or whatever, if you want to say 1K or K1, I do use the K1 kerosene. It is more expensive, so it's $8.70 something for a gallon, but it's better than the K1 that you get from the gas station. I use the gas station stuff in my Antique Perfection kerosene heaters, but the oil lamps, there's zero smell against a slight smell, and it actually it burns hotter, brighter, and I use less of it. So I'm not saying the cost, because the stuff at the gas station right now is $4 a gallon, and this stuff is $8.70 a gallon. So it's not exactly a washout, but it does burn less of it, so it helps offset the cost a little bit. But anyway, I just transferred that into this is an old lamp oil. This stuff is very expensive. The lamp oil, there we go. And I don't particularly like it much, but I just, to store it in the house, I just transfer the kerosene from the 1 gallon to 2 of these. It's just easier for me to deal with in the house when I'm filling up the lamps. So I'll use this one. I'm only going to go half full because this is more like my spare. And if you imagine, well, this is really an extra new wick. I think I set it and maybe used it once, maybe. But we'll pretend I've just put in a new wick, okay? And this is what I do. I do the same thing. I leave it all the way up, right? There's the top side of it. I wind it all the way up. Now, you know how they say you put you fill your kerosene up in your lamp, and you sit your burner in, and you've got to wait 10 or 15 minutes for the kerosene to soak into the wick? Well, no, you don't if you do this. Wind it up, dip it in. Obviously, it works better when it's full. And then just simply crank it down. Now, if that was full, this would be wet all the way down to here. So then you wind it down and dip the bottom in, or just simply screw it on. So now, I said I only filled this up halfway, but if it was full, that whole thing would be wet. And even if the middle is still dry, by the time you light this, it's going to soak up before the top half burns out. So now you are ready to go automatically. So how's that? That's a little trick for you. Alright guys, so now I'll do one of my favourite ones. Now, alright, I better show you this first. It didn't burn out. It's a cotton wick. You really don't want it to burn. Look, the absolute ideal way to do it is to have a dry wick, just dip the top, keep it down as a really, really low flame, like barely burning, and watch it and catch it when it's just burning out and actually starting to, right at the point where the kerosene is burnt away and it's about to start burning the cotton wick itself. That is perfect. That's when you want to blow it out, so you get a little bit of charring on top. You will get more than what is there, but yeah, you don't want to burn your cotton wick. So anyway, let's get back to this. Again, not too tight, just a little nip there. It's a little strange. Normally that doesn't line up so close to the cap. Yeah, that's tight. I use this little funnel, a little Coleman funnel. There you go, free advertising for Coleman. It's not like I've got millions of viewers and subscribers. There's certainly a lot more exciting stuff on YouTube to watch than oil lamps, although I get excited by oil lamps. I love them. Yep, that's probably too much, but screw it. It's a real video. It's a real life. Why am I doing this on this piece of wood? I don't need that anymore. Thanks for yelling that out. Alright, I have my freshly cleaned globe. It is still wet, nice and clean. Just soap and water, a sponge, or if you've got a soft brush, bottle brush, you can get in there and do it. Slit all the way across. oil lamp is ready for the season. Okay, now as you can, well, let me pick up the camera, aka cell phone, and you will see it's not 100% square, but it's pretty good. You get the glare off the globe, which is hard to see. You might have to take my word for it, but I'll be honest enough to tell you that I did not cut it perfectly square. So, alright, if you want to pull it down, which I probably will, because I can be a bit awkward that way, and I square it up, I'll shave another millimetre off it. There you go. That's something that the metric heads will understand. But there she is. The only problem with these things, you cannot get a good shot of the flame. But yeah, that's a very nice wide flame. That flame, that's, if the wick is 7/8 of an inch, that's got to be 1.5 inches. Well, that's trimmed to 1.5 inches. That flame is at least 1.5 inches wide. That is a big, wide flame, and that's what you want. You don't want a silly pointed flame. It's not a candle. Okay, how much light does a candle throw off? Not much. So you don't want a pointed flame. You want a nice, wide, flat flame. You'll get plenty of light and plenty of heat. Alright guys, sorry for taking so long. I try to, happens every time. Try to keep it for 10 minutes, but just so much to talk about. Alright, thanks for watching. Get yourself some oil lamps. If you've got some old ones, dig them out, clean them up. They are awesome. Alright, thanks for watching.